Om Bhagavad Mahagaya Surya Samabhrabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhar Bhavatame Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Dharavavahai Tejasvita Padhetamastavavitvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
Atha Chaturthodhyayaha.
Atha Chaturthodhyayaha.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha.
Shloka number Yaktva Karma Phala Sangam
Yaktva Karma Phala Sangam
Nityatrupto Nirashayaha
Nityatrupto Nirashrayaha
Karmanyabhipravrittopi
Karmanyabhipravartobhi
Naiva Kinchit Karoti Saha.
Naiva Kinchit Karoti Saha.
Karma Phala Sangam Tyaktva Jnanena. Karma Phala Asakti, attachment for the Karma Phala. Not bothered about the results of the Karma Phala. Whatever comes, let it come. Is Katrutva, Abhimana being not there, Ahankara being not there, Katrutva Abhimana not there. Because of Jnana. So karma is done. Not for expecting any result to accomplish. Because there is nothing else to accomplish. After Jnanam, after Swarupa Avagati, what is that to accomplish? In fact, all the means of accomplishment is finally is meant for to arrive at this accomplishment, which is already accomplished. So any accomplishment is really not for the sake of that accomplishment. It's meant to arrive at the accomplisher who is ever accomplished. Or jnana. And he's Nitya Truptaha because Atma. Nitya Truptaha is, it is never becomes, it never lacks, it never becomes Apurna, it always full. That Atma is myself, therefore Nitya Truptaha. Doesn't have dependency on anything. Doesn't depend on any Vishayas. Is no Ashraya. So therefore independence, being independent. So what can be independent is that which is Advaita. So which is independent. That doesn't depend on anything. It is Asti Swayam. It is that it is that which give existence to others. Its existence doesn't depend on anything else. Therefore, Ashreha Nasti. Being Atma, it doesn't have dependency on anything doesn't have anything for the fulfillment. Because nitya truptaha, therefore nirashraya. Can connect like that. It is ever satisfied. Therefore, there is no need for any dependency, not to be independent. Nirashraya, nitya truptaha, ataha nirashraya. And karma pala asangam, tyaktva, doesn't have asakti for karma pala because of the jnana. Atma santushtaha, atmani eva truptaha, atma truptaha, we have seen before, atma truptaha. Nitya truptaha, atma truptaha also. Karmani abhi pravrittopi, even though he engages in karma. Yani, even though he engages in karma, naiva kinchit karoti. He doesn't do. Really, he doesn't do. And what he does is, it's that doing is only abhasa, it is semblance. It is only a semblance of karma, a semblance of doing. So, a person can be said to be doing really only when he has the prutta abhiman. As Atma, he cannot do. Then we see Jnani doing, undertaking different activities and doing. It is enlightened ego. It is not Atma. Atma is now, the Jnani has discovered that Atma is myself. The Atma is Jnani, Jnani is Atma. They are not different. How can Atma do that? Therefore, no karta being there. Therefore, no karma. Neva kinchit karoti. He always contented. He is always nitya truptaha. Therefore, nirashyaha always is secure. Is always contented. His satisfaction doesn't depend on anything. It is always. It is Swarupa is contentment. Therefore, it is secure, self-secure. Doesn't depend on anything for its security. Doesn't lack anything. Doesn't depend on anything for its security. So therefore, it is ever content. Because there is some satisfaction in self-approval. You want to prove yourself to somebody, either in your own eyes or in the eyes of another. Because there is a seeking. There is a seeking involved. Self-recognition, self-approval. You want to approve yourself, either in the form of the approval, you feel approved when others approve, form of others' approval, or you want to see yourself as an accomplished person, accepted person, self-approval, self-acceptance. The problem here is that you don't accept yourself as you are. This is the only reason someone else's opinion can be so important to you, and is in fact a problem of the samsari. Who is a samsari? The one who has expectation, the samsari, from others. Others' opinion is of much importance to the person. Only when the self is clear, when there is self-knowledge, can one be happy with oneself. As we saw in the third chapter. The third chapter, which shloka we saw the third chapter. Swamiji said third chapter. Means you have to remember that shloka, third chapter is. That is, the third chapter is Atmaneva Santushtaha. He is happy with himself. In fact, the second chapter also is a. So, Yasvatma Ratirevasya, that is the third chapter. Yasvatma Atmarati, Atmatriptascha Manavaha, Atmaneva Santushtaha, Tasya Karim na vidyate, that here Neva Kinchit Karot. So, same. Atma Santushtaha, Tasya, Atma Santushtasya Karim na vidyate. So, therefore, he is happy with himself, therefore, he is. Yes, Tasya Karim na vidyate has nothing to do. So, he is happy with himself, there is self-knowledge. This happiness doesn't depend on anything else. It is in oneself alone. For such a person, there is nothing to be done. Tasya karyam na vidyate, referring to the third chapter. Here also the same. Naiva kinchit karosi. karoti saha. So you should be able to recall that chapter, shloka 17, shloka 3, that chapter 17. For such a person, there is nothing to be done, and even when he or she does something, doesn't affect the person's happiness in any manner. So whatever will be the result of karma, it doesn't affect the person. Amam karma limpanti, name karma pales praga. Even when he or she does anything, something, it doesn't affect the person's happiness. Amam karma limpanti, we saw this chapter itself. Therefore, this person is always contented, self-contented, always contented person, then is one who has given up all attachment to the results of action. So this giving up is not it is not something which is deliberate. It happens. The wake of knowledge, wake of jnanam. It's you come to know that you are full, you are atma. So therefore, this abhimana with the shariyamana sangata, the karma pala, they are gone. That's what giving up. They go away. They are dropped in the wake of this knowledge. That is what giving up. Otherwise, what is giving up? Jnana karma sannyasa. Jnana karma sannyasa. Jnanena karma sannyasa. Karma sannyasa is not karma is physically given. To do karma the same thing you are not doing because you are a jnani. That is what giving up. Giving up all attachment. There is no expectation to the results of action. So whatever may be the result, because the karma is to be done, it doesn't have desires for doing. Therefore, the doing also is not propelled by any desire for doing. Therefore, it's a non-binding desire. Even if desire is there, it is non-binding. Such a person is also described as nirashraya, free from all dependence. That is why non-binding. Yes, yes, desires which is not binding, and therefore non-binding is the desire will bind only when you are dependence. Desire will bind when you only have dependency, and therefore you do, and therefore karma pala, where you are bound. But it's free from all dependence. Karma it does not wanting to accomplish, out of accomplishment, out of fulfillment. Therefore, he is free from all dependence, no dependency for this person who is self-dependent. Self-dependent, yes, self is Atma. He is Atma. He or she doesn't depend upon anything for security or happiness, knowing that there is nothing more secure than the self. Self is just secure. In fact, everything exists because of this self. Everything is loved because of this self. Atmasta kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Nothing in the world is loved for the sake of that. Atmanastu kamaya, for the sake of Atma alone. Everything exists because of Atma. That is why Atma is Sat, is Ananda. It is Chaitanya, consciousness, Chitta, Satchit Ananda. In the self, everything has its being. Even the mind has its being in the self alone, as does everything that is reported to the mind by the thoughts. Mind also doesn't have dependent existence. Mind exists because of Atma. Everything depends upon Atma for its existence. Existence itself is the nature, Swarupa of Atma, Sat Swarupa of Atma. And everything has its Ashraya, as its basis in Atma, just as pot depends upon the clay for its existence. So that which has dependency is Mithya. That which is independent is Satya. A better example would be the situation of seeing a snake on a rope. When you take the rope to be a snake, the snake has its existence. Satta. Satta is existence. Sattvam, Satta, in the rope. Snake exists because the rope exists, therefore snake exists. The rope snake has no existence except the existence of rope. Adhyaropa, superimposition of rope on the snake, and therefore the snake exists because of the rope. Rope doesn't exist. Where is the rope snake? The rope snake ensures the existence of the rope. Without rope, the rope snake cannot exist. Similarly, the word Jagat, as in the case of rope snake, doesn't exist apart from the existence of the rope. Similarly, the word Jagat also has no existence except the existence of the self. So as rope snake is merges in rope, similarly the Jagat merges not physically, it is cognitively in Atmalo, awareness, knowledge. The person who is aware of this fact is Nirashrayaha. Nirashrayaha is jnana, person jnani, who depends on nothing for his or her fullness or satisfaction, because the self as a whole is already full. Person knows, I am the whole, I am the ashraya of everything. In fact, everything is me. Ayya sakalam jatam, I sarvam pratishthitam, I sarvam ayam yat, that dharma agam asmi advayam, advayam. But myself, everything has a dependency on me. Like it says, Jagat Karanam Brahma Agam Asmi, Mahavakya. I am the ashraya of everything means everything is mithya, I alone exist. So everything resolves into me. Mahavakya, I am the whole. Purnaham, Purnaha, Mahavakya. This person has given up all attachment to the fruits of action, not as an attitude, not by Karma Yoga, but by knowledge. The Karma Yogi also does. But for Karma Yogi, it is a sadhana. For a Jnani, it is accomplished, sadhya, sadhya Vishaya. What is sadhya for Jnani is sadhana for the Karma Yogi. Already we have seen the second chapter, Sita Pragya Lakshana. The Karma Yogi also gives up attachment to Karma Pala, but by attitude, but by his attitude. That is why Karma Yoga it is. Accepting Ishvara as a giver of results, Karma Pala Data. Because Ishvara is a Karma Pala Data, naturally he surrenders to Bhagavan. Therefore, whatever comes as the result of karma, he accepts with prasada buddhi. That is the attitude. This person takes everything as prasada without reacting. But this is yoga. This is karma yoga. This is yoga, not jnana, which is entirely different. Yoga is relative, and therefore the person's tranquility also is relative. Karma yogi is it's not a jnani, it's a mumukshu. While this kind of mind is definitely useful for getting the knowledge, yes, it is karma yoga meant for preparing the person for knowledge, preparing the mind for knowledge. The distinction between yoga, which is an attitude of implying understanding of Ishvara, and Vidya must be very clear. Because the Karma Yogi accepts Ishvara as a Karma Paladata, he or she has an attitude of taking things as they come and leaving them as they go. Ishvara Arpana Buddhi and Prasada Buddhi. This means the person has a mind, doesn't react, and therefore not under the spell of Ragadvesha. Ragadvesha is sufficiently neutral, therefore it doesn't have any say on this person. It is, but he's not a Jnani, it is, yes, the attitude. Here in this shloka, the same Karma Yogi has the knowledge of the Atma as a Karta. Therefore, this wise person may be engaged in enormous number of activities. The self is not taken to be the doer. The same Karma Yogi as who was Karma Yogi before, now he has become a Jnani, has knowledge of self. Atma is what? Akarta. Therefore, he may engage in any number of activities, but he will not take himself to be the Karta. Because, yes, he knows Atmaham Atma Karta, therefore. King Janaka was said to be such a person. You have seen this example in the third chapter. Karmaneva Santitam Asitaha Janaka Deha iti. So King Janaka was said to be a wise man. It's said to be such a man. That is, he's a Jnani. Even though he was a Jnani, he ruled the kingdom. And he ruled it very well. He had a handle on everything and always knew what was going on. The kingdom was prosperous and everyone was happy. Thus, a Jnani can enthusiastically engage himself or herself in a number of activities and still perform. No action. Naiva kinchit karoti saha. Tasya karyam na vidyate. In terms of knowing that he or she is not the doer. Doer is me, but I am not the doer. That is jnana. Doer is me, I am not the doer is jnana. I do as worship. The result I offer the karma to Bhagavan, and whatever comes as a result, I accept as prasada. That is yoga. So I do, the sense of doing, doership is there. That is yoga. Whereas here, I am not the doer. The Atma, is akarta. So there is difference between yoga and jnana, karma yoga and jnana. Now the self is not the role. Self is not the role. Self doesn't play any, self cannot play any role. Self is Atma. Self being Atma, what role it can play? An actor who plays the role of a killer doesn't take himself to be a killer, even if he removes the makeup. He sees himself as not doing anything. And if while playing a role, he kicks someone, he knows he doesn't kick. When he goes backstage and later, he doesn't say to the person, I'm sorry, I kicked you. Nor does he need to excuse himself in this way. He may ever ask whether it was a good kick, to which the other person may reply, yeah, it's a good kick. It didn't hurt me at all. You kicked very well. Because they know they are playing roles, therefore they can talk only about the nature of the action. But they cannot talk about as though one person did something to the other and needs to apologize. The actor who kicked is not to blame, and nor is there any action involved, because there is no doership, because there is kartritva bhava. There is no karta either. The kicker is the actor, but actor is not the kicker. So for what role self will play? Karma and jnana, therefore, are opposition. Karma implies ajnanam, and jnanam is ajnana abhirodhi. Jnana virodhi is ajnanam, that is karma. Kartritva, the doership, is the whole problem. In fact, samsara is centered on doership alone, kartritvam alone. Atma jnana, the subject matter of Vedanta, is opposed to karma, in that jnana and karma are entirely different. Most of the Veda is karma kanda. The first part of the Veda, voluminous portion of the Veda, is karma kanda only. Jnanam, the Vedanta, comes at the end. That's why Vedanta, positional name. The end of the Veda, the last chapter, is called Veda Anta Vedanta. Even though it is the last chapter, Vedanta is mentioned separately because there are two different topics involved. Anubandha Chatushtayam is different. Two different topics. Subject matter is different. Subject matter is karma and jnana. One being entirely different from the other, the two are in opposition. Karma means samsara, jnana is moksha. Karma implies ahankara, jnana implies badita ahankara, enlightened ego. So karma implies karta, jnana destroys karta. Karma implies ignorance, jnanam destroys ignorance. Therefore, jnanam implies akartrutva, karma implies kartrutva. Even karma yoga, kartrutva. Keeping the karta that already is there in view, the Veda tells you to do karma. This question may come, if Atma cannot do karma, the Atma is always akarta, then why Vedas enjoins karma? Because you take yourself to be the karta, therefore Veda also ordains you to do karma, enjoins you to do nitya nimitikadi karma. Keeping the karta that already is there in view, Veda tells you to do karma. This is where karma can be converted into yoga. Because you take yourself to be the doer, therefore Veda also ordains karma so that it can be converted into yoga. The transition can happen from akartrutvam to akartrutva. The karta is retained and the karma is converted into yoga to gain the maturity that prepares for jnanam, the discovery that you are akarta. There is no shortcut to maturity. One does have to be mature for gaining knowledge. Maturity takes its own time. How much time it will take depends on the person. Maybe a janma, 2, 3, 10, 100, depends. Therefore, it is not a question of doing it in 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years. When one may have had numerous births before, 20 years or 10 years or 5 years means nothing. A man may have been studying Vedanta for 80 years before he begins seeing clearly. When he's 99, he may say, now I understood. What does it matter? There is only one more year to live. Even if a person doesn't start until he's 80 years old and understands when he's 98, what does it matter? Understanding before the end is important. After knowledge, that all that remains is prarabdha. So whether he lives for another year or 2 years or 3 years, it's means nothing whatsoever. So maturity, that takes time. That takes a person so many years to understand. Doesn't mean anything. The maturity required for the knowledge to take the Santakarana Shuddhi has to be gained, and there is no hurry. Therefore, one should not feel restless also with regard to the sadhana. When there is clarity with regard to what regard to the end, the moksha, and one need not be in a hurry. It takes time. You cannot speed up maturity. Hurrying doesn't work. In fact, it is like waiting for a banana to ripen. You cannot sit beside the banana tree and say to a green banana, come on, hurry up and mature, ripen, so that I can eat you. You have to let it ripen. Only then it will be soft and tasty. It takes its own time, and there's nothing you can do about it. All process of ripening and growth are the same, including the maturity of the mind. Therefore, yoga, the karma yoga is meant for this purpose, for antakarna shuddhi. Antakarna shuddhi meaning maturity, purification of mind, raga, dvesha, nivrutti, maturity, all mean same. In this sense, the karma is useful. And once the mind is ready, if the person is a matured person, then jnanam takes place. Therefore, while jnana is opposed to karma, karma contributes to jnanam by preparing the person, which is why karma comes first in the Veda, and jnanam comes afterwards. Karma has to come first because it is due to ajnana, ignorance. The person takes himself or herself to be a karta, a doer, the person is ignorant. Therefore, as a karta, remaining eating the kartaratvam, the person has to mature. Then only jnana can come. That is why karma kanda first and jnana kanda at the end. Even the division of the ashrama vyavastha, brahmacharya, vyavastha, vanaprastha, karma, and upasana only. Sannyasa at the end, not in the beginning. Sannyasa at the end, jnana, the end. Implies maturity. Maturity implies two levels, subjective and empirical. Subjectively, we gather a lot of problems, all of which to be accounted for and taken care of. Then empirically, there are wrong conclusions in terms of values, relationships, and so on, which also have to be taken care of. It is with reference to these levels of maturity that karma yoga comes in. Karma yoga leads to jnanam, the knowledge that I am a non-doer, I am akarta. Once this knowledge is gained, the person performs no action, meaning in spite of doing, he performs no action because he has gained actionlessness, that is jnana. So, till then one has to do karma. The person has to become mature. Thus, the Veda has entirely two different subject matters, karma and jnana. The first portion of the Veda, which deals with karma, is called Karma Kanda. The second portion, which deals with jnana, is called Jnana Kanda, Vedanta. And analysis of the Karma Kanda in terms of what karma is to be done or which is to be done, and so on, is called Karma Mimamsa. That is called Purva Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa is one darshana by that formulated by Jaimini. This is the form of Karma Mimamsa Sutras written by Jaimini, a disciple of Vyasacharya. Similarly, an analysis of Jnana Kanda is called Uttara Mimamsa. So, analysis done in the form of Sutra by Jaimini for the Karma Mimamsa, that is Purva Bhag of the Veda, Karma Kanda. And Vedanta, that is other is called Jnana Kanda, the analysis is done and it is called Uttara Mimamsa. This is in the form of a Brahma Sutra written by Vyasacharya, the Guru himself. In the Brahma Sutra, the sentences of the Upanishads are fully analyzed. The subject matter is further analyzed in the light of various schools of thoughts. Other darshanas are also discussed so that we get clarity with regard to the Tatparyam of the Shastra. This analysis is called Manana. So studying Brahma Sutra after studying Upanishads is Manana. Finally, what Vedanta itself says is established. Vedanta is separate because karma and jnana are two different topics, neither of which is ordinary. This is the entire subject matter of Krishna's teaching in the Gita. When you understand karma and jnana properly, you are free. That is why he said, Kim karma kima karma iti. Kavayahapi atra asmin vishya mohitaha. This knowledge implies the understanding of the nature of Atma as being akarta. Given the importance of continuing the same vein, Bhagavan continues, next shloka, for 21. We'll read in the next class. The same Kurvanapnoti Kilbisham talks about Jnani. So we will see in the next class tomorrow. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ धन्यवादः।